Scams and frauds have existed for a very long time. They have stolen a lot of people's life savings. Some of them had a huge effect on the economy and society. In this video, we'll discuss the top 10 largest historical scams and talk about how they were done. Let's get started. Number 10. Charles Ponzi. Early in the 20th century, an Italian-American businessman named Charles Ponzi gained notoriety for his fraudulent investment scam, which has since come to be known as a Ponzi scheme. Instead of utilizing the money for genuine commercial endeavors, he would take the money from new investors to pay the returns of the previous investors. Since he had promised them significant returns, Ponzi was earning millions of dollars every day and living an opulent lifestyle during the height of his con. But soon the fraud was discovered, and many investors lost their money. The Ponzi scheme, where returns are provided to investors using money from new investors rather than from actual earnings, is regarded as a classic form of financial fraud. As we'll see in this video, scammers started using this technique a lot. Number 9. Bernard Madoff. Thousands of innocent people and organizations suffered substantial financial losses as a result of Bernard Madoff's Ponzi scheme, which was a cruel and dishonest act of fraud. Madoff possessed a powerful position as the chairman of the Nasdaq Stock Exchange and a well-known person in the financial sector. But unfortunately, he took use of his notoriety to deceive his clients by guaranteeing them consistent profits regardless of the state of the market. But he was just paying old investors returns with money from new investors rather than investing their money, giving the impression of true gains. But in 2008, Madoff's own sons exposed him to the authorities, and the whole story came to light. Many individuals lost their life savings as a consequence of their discovery that the company's assets were far less than what investors had been told. In 2009, Madoff admitted admission to his crimes and was handed a harsh sentence of 150 years behind bars. In addition to being sentenced to forfeit $170 billion, the entire principal and fake profits lost by his clients, he was charged with 11 federal offenses. Number 8. The Enron fraud. A Texas-based energy corporation, Enron, formerly had great success. But in 2001, the corporation was found to have lied about its financial status in order to make it seem better than it really was. To cover their debt, they engaged in intricate financial maneuvers. The CEO and other senior executives of the organization were aware of the fraud but kept it a secret. As a result, the firm filed for bankruptcy, which caused several employees to lose their jobs and a lot of people lost their investments. The accounting company that examined Enron's financial documents also declared bankruptcy. The issue prompted the government to pass new law to stop similar incidents from occurring in the future. Several Enron case participants were sentenced to prison. Kenneth Lay, the organization's leader, was one of them. He was supposed to sent for 45 years in jail after being found guilty on many charges of fraud and conspiracy. However, he passed away before his sentence could be carried out. A second defendant was Jeffrey Skilling, the former CEO of Enron, who was found guilty on 19 charges of securities fraud, conspiracy, and insider trading. He received a sentence of 24 years and 4 months in prison and a fine of $45 million. And it's a lengthy list, we don't need to mention them all. Number 7. The Nigerian email scam. The Nigerian email scam is a fraud that started in Nigeria in the 1980s. It is a technique used by certain individuals to defraud others of their money. They will write an email requesting for assistance in transferring a significant amount of money out of the country while posing as someone important, such as a wealthy individual or a government leader. They may want money to cover costs or private information like bank account numbers. Then, they will keep requesting more money while claiming that the victim would get a large sum of money back. However, the victim will never see any money, and the fraudster will steal both the money and the victim's personal information. Number 6. South Sea Company. A financial crisis hit England in the 18th century because of the South Sea Company fraud. The company was created to carry on business in South America, and was granted a monopoly over commerce in the South Seas as well as the authority to receive government debt in return for bonds. Because they thought they could earn a lot of money, many individuals made investments in the company. However, the firm was unable to distribute the dividends it had guaranteed. Many investors lost money when the stock market dropped. Corruption and insider trading made the swindle worse, and it bankrupted many people. A prime illustration of the risks of speculative bubbles and insider trading, the firm fell during what is regarded as one of the biggest financial crises in British history. Number 5. A Canadian mining company. A huge financial fraud that occurred in the 1990s included Barrick, a Canadian mining enterprise. After the corporation said it had discovered a sizable gold resource in Indonesia, the value of its shares increased, but the deposit was phony. To make it seem as if there was a significant gold deposit, the gold samples had been tampered with a process known as salting, and the findings had been altered. The stock price fell as a result of the discovery, and investors suffered enormous losses. And after numerous individuals with ties to the company were accused of fraud. Number 4. The Great Silver Hoax. The Robert Silver Scandal, commonly referred to as the Great Silver Hoax of 1869, was an American financial fraud. Isaac Roberts and David Hudson said that they had discovered a large silver ore deposit in California and collected money by selling stock in the alleged mine. However, the deposit was a fraud. They had no intention of mining silver. They spent the money on a luxury lifestyle, and they compensated previous investors to give the impression that the mine was profitable. Many investors lost money once the hoax was discovered, and the scandal hurt the mining sector's credibility. Number 3. The Zeka Woods Fraud. In the early 2010s, the United States saw the operation of the Zeka Woods scam, which was again just a Ponzi scheme. Investors who bought bids that could be used to make purchase on the company website were promised big rewards of around 1.5% every day. However, the operation was fake because it didn't create any profit. Instead, it used funds from new investors to pay returns to older investors. The firm was shut down by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission when it came to light that it had received more than $600 million from investors but had less than $300 million in assets. Number 2. Tom Peters. In the early to mid-2000s, businessman Tom Peters involved in a Ponzi scheme known as the Tom Peters scam. He was the owner of multiple businesses and used promises of substantial profits to get investors to give him money. In order to make it seem as if his businesses were profitable, he unfortunately utilized the money to reimburse previous investors and created fake documents as a proof. As a result, he stole $3.6 million from investors. When the scam was discovered in 2008, he was found guilty and given a 50-year jail term. Number 1. Victor Lustig. Early in the 20th century, conman Victor Lustig gained notoriety for his many schemes. One of his most well-known frauds was the money box scam, in which he would make a wooden box that he claimed was a money printing machine and sell it to rich people and government leaders for a hefty price while saying it could create massive amounts of money. He was a master of disguise and deceit and used people's greed for easy money to carry off this fraud many times. He was ultimately apprehended and sentenced to jail. He also persuaded a group of scrap metal traders that the Eiffel Tower was offered for sale since the government no longer needs it. He got one of the dealers to give him a large measure of money as an advance on the tower purchase, and after receiving it, he disappeared with it. The police ultimately apprehended him when he tried the fraud again. Because of his deception, he was given a 10-year jail term. That's all for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, be sure to give us a like and leave a comment. We would greatly appreciate it. See you next time.